Hey, thanks for tuning in to Bourbon Battles. My name's Joe. Hey, if you picked today for your first time here, you picked a good one because we're going to do one of our classic bourbon battles. So stick with us.
And now, for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Hey, you've made it this far. You might as well stay to the end. If you've never seen one of our bourbon battles, you're in for a real treat. I've got a drawer over here that's full of these little 2-ounce sample bottles. They've got an envelope in them and 2 sample whiskeys, and we're going to try them, and we're going to say this is better than that, and I'm going to tell you why I think that. And the interesting thing about this is these were all paired up very intentionally. They're like, say, high-proof whiskeys or rye whiskeys or wheated whiskeys or finished whiskeys. Something about them has something similar. So, and a lot of times I like to take the unicorn or the really expensive bottle and pair it up against something that's easy to find and see what wins. Hey, I'm finishing this off here. This is my spicy old fashioned. If you haven't seen any of our old fashioned series, check that out. That's where I go in and show you my favorite old fashions, make some of my very unique recipes. So I'm going to get into the drawer over here. And what I do, I want to remind you, hey, Stave and Thief Society, right here on my hat. You can see their website right down here, staveandthief.com. Go check them out. They have an executive bourbon steward course. With discount code BBB15, you get 15% off that bad boy. I can't recommend it enough. Let me know in the comments if you've taken that or any of their other courses. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. So let's check this out. Here's what it looks like. Guys, some of these are going to be a little bit different than we've done in the past. I've introduced something that we said we weren't going to do, pricing, right? So if this is one of them, right, there's an envelope inside the envelope, right? Now there's a separate one that'll tell me the price. And so I'm going to grade these. I'm going to determine what I think about them. I'm going to pick a winner, and then I'm going to reveal the price and only the price and not what it is and see if that deters. Would I rather have this over this because of the price difference, right? So we're going to take this sealed envelope. We're going to place it right there. You can kind of still see it there. And we're going to check this out. 2 trusty Glencairns. Oh, here's 2 cool Glencairns, right? Moondrops Distillery and Haberdasher Distillery, both in Central Indiana. Both great places. If you've never been to those, make sure you go. Let me know in the comments if you've been to Haberdasher or... what the hell is all over this damn thing? Well, that one ain't going to work. Sorry, Brooks, down at Haberdasher. I'm going to have to use a different glass. Let me know if you've been to Moondrops or Haberdasher. Let me know what you think about them. They're both fun. They're both cool. Make sure you tell them Bourbon Battles sent you. Right, so here we go. Let's get into this bad boy and see what we think. I always have to remember to do these backwards, right? 1 and 2, so they're front ways to you. So right off the bat, we can see that they're super. One's a little bit darker than 2. Not a lot. They both look really young, actually. Hey, let me know in the comments that you want to enter to win, and I'll select somebody after these videos and send you a private message, right? You'll get a bourbon battle in the mail. Not necessarily this one, but one of them, right? It's going to be random because I don't want you to know what you're getting until after you got it. You pick a winner and you tell me, right? So we do it just like this on the show. So let me know in the comments, entered, and do me a favor. If you share it, you get bonus points and it'll be easier to win. Share this video on Facebook, whatever you share it on. I don't know. I don't know how that works, right? So here we go, 1 and 2. Let's put a little more over here. We're going to get into these. And if you're looking for a ton of tasting notes, you're not going to get them from me, right? Because, and I'll tell you why. It's real simple, right? Because everybody's palate is so unique and so different, right? I know people that when they drink Jim Beam or Heaven Hill, they don't even get peanuts in it. And that's all I get is like creamy peanut butter. So, yeah, it's something super prominent, sweet, like this old fashioned, for example, right? It's my spicy old fashioned, super spicy, right? These prominent notes, I'm gonna let you in on those. But it's all going to be very generalized stuff, and hopefully at the end you get a sense of I want to try that or I don't want to try it. But if you're looking for cardamom and dandelion oil and rhubarb and all this bullshit, you come to the wrong place, right? And if you're a whiskey tasting expert and you get those things, cool, but this channel's probably not for you. You're way far more advanced than I am, right? Number 1. I get some of that dusty old book, which is strange because this is so light. You guys know what I'm drinking? You don't know what order it's in? I have no idea. Not a lot on the nose there. Number 2. Much more on the nose on number 2. More ethanol for sure. but not a lot of ethanol in either one. I'm trying to think what that is there I'm getting. Number 2, the nose is much, much, much better in number 2. Number 1's just, well, that was a little better. Number 1's covered up in some of those dusty, Sharpie notes, right? Those dusty old book notes. And that's real simple for me to equate to old whiskey. But, I mean, it's so light. Maybe it's rye. I don't know. Old rye could be lighter. But I don't get notes of rye in number 2. And I probably wouldn't put a bourbon with a rye. So who knows? Let's try number 1. I think number 1 is a rye. It's excellent is what it is. It's excellent is what it is. It's very sweet. Not a lot of that minty stuff that you normally get in a rye. Maybe finished. I don't know. Probably a finished rye. It's excellent. I'm glad I own that bottle, whatever it is. Let's get on to number 2. This is the one I thought the nose was much better, so it would tend me to believe that I like it better. A big part of this whiskey experience in a glass and tasting things for me is the nose. I value it nearly as much as I do the palate. Not to go backwards, but the finish on number 1's forever long. I do get some peanut notes and those type of things in number 2. I don't think it's a Beam or Heaven Hill product, but a lot of those peanut notes come through. It's a little more astringent. Probably finished as well, and I might be thinking that because I think number 1 is, but I think these are both finished. More Kentucky Hug in number 2, so it's either higher proof or it's more stringent, or it's younger, but neither one of them look very old. Really lacks on the finish compared to number 1. Whatever that finish is really shines through on number 1 more than number 2. Number 1's definitely the better one. Now I'm trying to determine how much more I like it. I'd say I like it considerably more. But I also believe number 2 is absolutely excellent. More of that Kentucky Hug. A lot of people don't like that, right? Because number 1 is smoother, right? And all you whiskey wise asses out there don't think you're allowed to say smooth. That just makes you a bourbon butthole, right? If I say that whiskey is smooth, you absolutely understand what I say, and it's absolutely okay. And it's an absolute great adjective to use for whiskey. Number 1 is smoother. The flavors are different. Number 1 is the better whiskey. But there's something on the finish that I don't love. I like it, right? I don't love it. Like it's like, if that little thing wasn't there on the finish, I would say this is out of this world amazing. It's very good. This is good. This is very good. These are both excellent whiskeys. I'm going to pick number 1 as the winner. Let's see what's going on here. Into the trusty sealed envelope. I'm old as shit, so I have to wear my glasses. Okay, this is one of our envelopes in an envelope, right? So this is going to reveal what we have. This is going to reveal the pricing to tell me if I would change my mind and what I would prefer over the other. Number 1, oh wow. Number 1, and these are MSRPs. I have no idea if they sell in the secondary. I'll speak to that after we reveal it and get into the bottles, right? Number 1 here is $135 a bottle. In my opinion, a bottle must be excellent to be over $100. It has to be very good. Now, I will tell you, the caveat to that is if you enjoy $100+ bottle among friends at an event and it brings back memories, it's worth it, right? That's the key to over $100. You get into that $200 range, it better have sentimental value, right? It better be attached to a cool experience, and it better be out of this world good, like this Kentucky Gem, right, that I have right here. don't know if you can see that because it's black and my lighting in here is fabulous, right? That Kentucky Gem from 2XO Dixon Deadman is a phenomenal bottle, and it's attached to a really cool experience. My daughter got that for me for Father's Day, so it's an amazing bottle. That makes that worth $200. Now, that $100 price point should be attached to that, and it should be damn good, right? I could get on board with that for $135. It's tough. Is it a $135 whiskey? What the hell is, right? Number two, this one right here, this is probably going to reveal to you what's what and who's who in the canoe, because you know what I'm drinking. You just know the order. This is a $44 bottle of whiskey. So the question now is, I'd prefer this over this, but would I rather have 3 bottles of this or 1 bottle of this? Well, that's hard for a guy like me that collects whiskey, right? Because I want them all. But if you have 20, 30, 40, 50 bottles, that's the one you want. You want number 2. You want to buy number 2 and save another $100 to go buy a couple more bottles or 1 more bottle. This and a $100 bottle over. It's a no-brainer, guys. If you collect whiskey, do you want this? Absolutely. This is delicious. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Let me know in the comments if you've had either one of these. Pause the video right here and let me know in the comments what you think you would have picked before I reveal what I would have picked. Let me know in the comments if you've had any of these, what you think about it. Also, let me know in the comments, hey, if you want to give me a battle to throw in the box. So let's reveal these. I'm really curious. As I get this open and I reveal it to myself, I'm going to grab the bottle so we can speak to it a little bit. Okay, let me grab these bottles. Okay, now you guys know what's going on. You knew all along. Now I know what's going on, and obviously I know which is which just from the prices that we discussed. Number 1, which I picked as the better whiskey. Number 2 is what I picked as the better value once I knew the prices. So that's very important to understand, right? And price is a relative thing. If $144 is no big deal, if it's the same to you as $44, then you just go buy these. If money matters and you want to save money, then buy this, right? So Bourbon, Bardstown Bourbon Company, actually a really, really cool place. I've never been there in a tour capacity, but I've walked every square inch of their property for my job, what I do during the day to look at some of their things, to do work there. Is an amazing place. Super clean facility, super modern facility, super cool facility, and they make amazing things. My biggest problem with Bardstown Bourbon Company is they're really good stuff like this, right? This is really good. It's just a little too expensive, guys. They're weeded and they're high rye. The black and the white labels were fantastic at a fantastic price point. I love that stuff. Some of their older stuff is amazing, but like that, the stuff that everybody raves about, that's that $150, $160 range, can't bring myself to do it, guys. There's just so many amazing things out there. This is just one of the things that I've never gone down the Bardstown rabbit hole. I was actually at a bar on Mass Ave in Indianapolis. You can send me an email, bourbonbattlesblind@gmail.com, and I'll tell you all about it because I'm sure they still have this. I saw it sitting there, and I love Foursquare rum. Yes, I like rum. I like tequila. I like all kinds of things. So I thought, well, that's interesting. Let me try a pour of that. And I tried it. My wife and I were out on like a day drinking date day and had a great time. And the bartender's like, hey, that's supposed to be like $165 retail. And he was a little bit off. It's $135, I believe. And that varies depending on where you're at. He's like, I've got a bunch of them. I can't get rid of them. Here you go. You got one for $110. Does that make a difference? Yeah, it made a difference, right? $110 for that's a little more palatable than $150 or whatever. $135. Let's see here. But like I was saying earlier, right, I associate that with a great day with my wife. So anytime I drink this whiskey, I'm going to remember the whole interaction, the whole day. I also bought a Russell's Reserve. It's right over there. I don't know if you can see it, from Wise Guys Whiskey Lounge on Mass Ave. It's fantastic. So those 2 bottles remind me of that day. Does that make me weird? It probably does. So whatever. But this 107 proof, finished in 4 square rum barrels. Let's see what else I wrote down about this. This is interesting. It's a bourbon rye mix, which I wouldn't have guessed. Aged 7 to 17 years, which is very interesting. I'm looking at the bottle now. 107 proof. So it's got 90% of this bottle is MGP rye. But it's not 95.5. It's 51% rye, 45 corn, 4% malted barley, and it says Indiana, so I assume MGP. And that's 7-year-old Indiana rye at not a 95.5 mash bill. So I was right. It's kind of a rye. I thought it was a rye, which didn't make sense because I didn't think this was a rye. Now it all makes sense because they're both rum cask finish. 10% of this bottle is 17-year-old Dickel. 84% corn, 8 rye, 8 malted barley. Typically not a huge Dickel fan. If you're a huge Dickel fan, now that I see that some of that shows through, that minerality, those type of things. Let's see here. See if I can pick out the Flintstones vitamins. I've never gotten that in a Dickel. Dickel makes some good stuff, right? Don't get me wrong. We've got a Leopold Brothers Dickel rye that's pretty decent. I don't get it. I don't pick out the Dickel. I would have never guessed that there was Dickel in there. If you hate Dickel, you may not like that. So that's that. That's $135 Bardstown 4 square, which is a fantastic rum cask finish. Now let's get into this. This bad boy right here is super, super interesting, right? I love Yellowstone. I love everything Stephen Beam's doing, guys. According to my notes here, this was featured on a Whiskey Wednesday, probably not that long ago because I haven't had this bottle very long. Whiskey Wednesday, this received a grade of an A-. Let that sink in, an A-. It is very, very difficult to get an A grade from me in a Whiskey Wednesday, Sunday Sipping, or a Friday Rye Day, right? Because I think that's exceptional whiskey. But what I do in those episodes is I take into account the value. And at $44, that's why this performs so well. In today's world, a $44 whiskey is everywhere, right? There's not a lot of things. I mean, there's a ton of things that are in that $40-some range, right? There's a lot of things that are below that are fantastic. But when you get into finished whiskeys in that $40-some range, this performs extremely well. And if you've never had a rum cask finish and you say, I don't know about that. I don't like rum. I don't know. Well, rum brings in that sweetness from the sugar cane and all that stuff. If you want to try a rum cask finish, I don't know that there's a better option to start with than this to determine if you like it before you spend $135 on something like this. I love rum cask finished whiskeys, right? Angel's Envy rum cask finished rye is amazing. And if you're new to whiskey, it's an amazing, perfect rye whiskey for a beginner, except for it's $80 or whatever it is. Now, it started out at $100. Now you see it for the 80s, right? At $44, this is amazing, amazing whiskey, right? I don't know if you know a whole lot about Yellowstone and the limestone branch, but this stuff is fantastic. Part of the money goes to the Yellowstone National Parks. It's an amazing cause. They've got a small little distillery down there in Lebanon, Kentucky. I've been there. I keep saying over and over and over again, I got to get back and I want to enjoy a cigar with Stephen Fonte, right, which is I think their national brand ambassador. Him and I have talked a few times through messaging. Stephen, let me know. Let's make that happen, right? You and I need to meet, whether in Louisville or down there in Lebanon, and talk about your whiskey. I'm so happy with this stuff. It's 100 proof. For all you whiskey cowboys out there that like the higher proof stuff, I don't know what to tell you, right? There's great whiskey at 80 proof to 150 proof and everywhere in between. If you have to have the high proof, that whatever. I'm not that cool. I'm not as cool as that. This is great whiskey at 100 proof. I don't know what rum casks they finish in. I don't know that it really matters. Cool company, amazing distillery. Like I say, I've been there. They have a distillery exclusive release, right? That you can only buy at the distillery. And Stephen Beam or Stephen Fonte, if any of you guys see this, if you would please comment, leave a message for me. Stephen Beam's the owner of the company. Him and his family own this company. Master distiller. Please let me know if you still have that distillery exclusive that is just crazy peaches to me. If you ever get a chance to go down to Kentucky on the Bourbon Trail, you're really, truly missing out if you don't go here and check it out and really do a tasting, do something so you can try that Yellowstone distillery owned exclusive finished whiskey that is crazy peach notes to me. It's amazing. It's so good. It's one of the best things I've ever bought on the Bourbon Trail. Fantastic, fantastic stuff. Limestone Branch Distillery, guys. Check those guys out. So let me know in the comments. What do you think about these two? What would you pick? What would you rather buy? Would you rather have 3 bottles of this or $100 left over or this? Hey, they're both great whiskeys. Hey, my name's Joe, and you're watching Bourbon Battles. I'll remind you, drinking whiskey is fun. Do it with your friends. Do it responsibly. You can. Do it blind like this. It's so much fun to do it blind. Set these blind battles up for your friends before they come over. Get a bunch of these little bottles there on Amazon. Check it out. Hey, like my dad always said, better be full of whiskey than full of shit. See you next time.
If you drink, don't drive, do the watermelon crawl.